Yelled at me. Guess I should turn off the Icelandic hip hop. Anyway, welcome to the Assetto Corsa Back to the Front Challenge. Sim racing system, the Mazda 787B. Yelled at me. Series is at Watkins Glen GP tonight. Icelandic hip hop. Okay, so that works. I'll quit out of the internet and get going here. Juan Reynoso said he's going to show up for this race, and he's not here, so I'm kind of upset about that. Anyway, still kind of sick. 787B, a Watkins Glen boot. Hour-long race, fixed setups, no setup building, put 99 liters of fuel in, take 1 liter for the pit stop. I think we're going to run 56 bias instead of 55, because that seemed to be an issue last race, and I almost died several times. Race 5 of 6 in the season, we have locked up the championship. Not even close at this point. Go look this thing up. Yeah, only 6 people have run the full season. We're up by over 50 points. Sean Sebrown running P2, good for him. Put together actually a very clean, respectful season so far. In 4 races, Sean has 0 incidents, which is really good. He's improving every series we see this guy run or we see this guy host getting a little better, and P2 in the championship and no incidents is really, really good for him. So good to Sean on that. A couple guys that are real quick. Juan Reynoso won the opening round on pit strategy. He's only showed up for 2 events, and he hasn't shown up for this one, even though he added me on Facebook and said he's going to run this week, so I'm sad. 17 cars, our series is dying. Not going to start with the full 23, which is upsetting. There's no Oscar Pink tonight, sadly. There's no Luke Sky. There's Jimmy Russell's, which that can't be his real name, I swear. That has to be a fake name. We're spicing tonight just a bit. I am eating some white chocolate, so I will need to shit halfway through this race. So how do these back to the front challenges work? I practice just to make sure my controls are dialed in. I skip qualifying. We usually spectate qualifying. And then we run the race from the very back row. It's something different to do. Obviously, if you've watched these streams, it's usually me or Ethan winning a race with the occasional other person. And it gets to the point where when you qualify on the front row by 6/10 and you just walk off into the horizon, that's not fun anymore. So this is a way to mix it up and challenge myself. Anyway, because again, we skip qualifying. So I'm talking with my mouth full, but I don't give a fuck. Because we skip qualifying, any shit you want to bullshit about for the first 20 minutes of the stream, go right ahead. Try and answer some questions or just take the one-man podcast discussion in that direction. Trying to do my best Jim Rome impression here. I believe, at least from experience, James Leader is going to be your pole sitter. Tip for those on SRS, if you click the race page or you refresh the page right at 3 minutes, the join button automatically appears. And we need that extra 3 minutes of practice to dial in the controller. Maybe get the audio settings right. I still haven't fixed my steering wheel or my pedal sensitivity, so the throttle pedal doesn't go down all the way. Which is great. That's exactly what we want, right? I might actually back out here.
Your skin is okay.
We'll load our Red Bull Ring setup. Race SRS. And change the bias here to 56. Brake power, I think that was fine last season.
Skins checked, nothing new, carry on.
Yeah, we'll have to make an emergency controller adjustment because my pedal's not going down the whole way. Everything's at 100 here. We're gonna fuck with the sensitivity a crazy amount to 85. Now to get back into an SRS race, you go to your online session. You sort by clients, and you basically find the session you were just in because it books you. Have maybe a minute to get warmed up. I don't know the shift points here. I have done 0 practice of this track.
Your skin is okay.
I guess we have 2 minutes. And already the steering ratio is fucked up, so you have to Alt-Tab. Because there's some issue with the Logitech profiler on my system, where it gives me the wrong rotation sometimes when I load into a session. So off we go. Someone wrecked up here. So Watkins Glen is a track I know really well.
Skins checked, nothing new, carry on.
Thank you, Enrique. So again, the SRS strat for any race on this app. Hardest compounded tires available. Don't change tires at the pit stop if it's mandatory. Just take 1 liter of fuel, load the bitch with fuel, and drive as fast as you fucking can. The tires in AC kind of wear on a linear rate. I have not noticed that saving tires actually does anything in this game. So you can pretty much push the entire race, at least on these tires, and nothing bad will happen. You can still overheat them. So that lone lap in this little portion here is the only practice I've done all day on this game. Need to get the brake point right for the bus stop. That actually looks about right. Watkins Glen, in my opinion, is one of the easiest road courses, and it's why it's so popular on games like iRacing, because even the stock car guys who don't road race can race here, and the physics feel generally pretty good, and the track is easy enough where there's really no technical corners, there's no places to throw you off. So we only have 14 cars in this race, which is pathetic. Because people just, they do 2 races in a car and they decide it's too hard, and they don't play it. Pretty bad throttle rhythm there, but 56 feels like pretty good brake bias. The default set just does not turn, which kind of sucks. My bet is Holocaust in the S's. Ahoy, love the last trackside. Thank you, sir. I always get kind of worried posting the stuff about esports because you never know who's going to get pissy about it. Yeah, side-by-side in these cars is... Alright, who's going out? Hugo Matos. Trying to find, I guess, F2. So here's Hugo Matos from Portugal. I want trackside cam. "20 minutes of qualifying. Again, starting from the back, I don't want to qualify. It gets boring at some point. You're 100% spot on about esports. Yeah, I know, like, it's... I don't hate video game competitions. In fact, I embrace the idea that we're playing games for money because it's cool. It really is. And the core concept, and I touched on this in the video too, but not everyone races in the same league due to like time zones and shit like that. So the idea that we're having these giant, fuck huge, you know, for 10 grand, these competitions to kind of bring everyone who's good at one game from all the different corners of the globe and all the different leagues under one roof to race for money is pretty sweet. But the way that some people in the sim community are aggressively pushing the idea that these games are popular in the face of overwhelming evidence that they're really not is very strange. And like if you were to act that way, like if you were to go to a local racetrack and you're like a track promoter and you were going on Facebook and posting pictures of empty stands and saying, well, let's say, for example, Castrol Raceway is growing in popularity because we had 48 people this weekend and we had 27 people last weekend. Every driver in the paddock and every sponsor in the paddock would want to shoot you. Like that's the reality of it. You know, if you're any sort of local track promoter or you're just a promoter in general, let's say on a road course, and you talk in ambiguous terms the way the esports guys do, people would either sue you or pull all their support from the track and just race somewhere else. And yet you do that in sim racing esports and you don't, you know, you ignore what the actual audience numbers are and you make up these ambiguous statements and then you shill it all over the place on Twitter and you retweet each other over and over again to make it look like you have support when you don't. That's acceptable in sim racing. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is like, look, I like this hobby and I like the idea that someone thinks it should be popular because like it's cool. Fucking fake race cars are cool, right? That's why we're all here. But if you do it naturally and you grow the competitive scene naturally to the point where it's self-sustainable and like other people, like look at it this way, without sponsors, you still have massive Smash Bros tournaments everywhere because people just love playing Smash and they're gonna get together naturally. So it's like, well, the community essentially supports itself and there's a healthy ecosystem of like YouTubers and there's a healthy ecosystem of like regional tournaments. And it's this fun thing, and like people don't need outside support. So when outside support does come in the form of sponsorships, it's like it's even bigger, and it's sustainable, and everyone wants to participate, and everyone wants to come hang out and watch. And advertisers and sponsors can make money, and it's a good symbiotic relationship for everyone. But when you promote from the top down, you essentially piss money away, and then the industry becomes reliant on this esports money. And you increase the risk that these sponsors and these investors will just fuck off when they find out the truth. Like, the thing is, with stuff with Smash, and with stuff like Smash and stuff like other esports, what was I gonna say here? It's not completely propped up with esports money. Because the community is so, these games are so popular, the community is naturally supporting these games. Like, if we want to look at something like Madden, like, the genre doesn't rely on fucking esports ad money, right? Like, when you play Madden, like, EA makes money off Ultimate Team, right? So if, let's say, there's just no Madden esports tournament one year, Madden doesn't just not come out, or Madden doesn't be like, oh fuck, you know, our source of income's dried up. But in terms of the esports stuff, you know, we're getting by with such, like, low budgets. Like, a good example is ACC. Like, what happens, like, they obviously built ACC to be, like, this esports platform for Digital Bros and for the Blancpain SRO GT3 series, right? Okay, so what if fucking Blancpain's like, you know what, for 2020, fuck the esports thing, we're not doing it. We're not supporting you guys anymore. Suddenly Kunos is like, what? Right? That's the risk you take. Or how about hypothetical situation? Let's say iRacing is just like, or whoever's sponsoring it this year, or like, let's just say the peak antifreeze series just dies, like overnight. And iRacing comes out, you know, let's say tomorrow, and they're like, it's over. There's no tournament this year. There's no $100,000 payout or $300,000 payout, whatever is rumored to be in the pipeline. This series is just not happening because we couldn't find anyone to pay A, the entry fee, and B, the sponsorship costs, so we're just not putting it on this year. What do you think happens to this game? What do you think happens to this community? And that's the point I'm trying to get across to people, is that the more and more we keep, I don't want to say misleading, but we are kind of misleading people into funding this stuff, knowing that, hey, it's actually not all that popular. The harder it's gonna fall when brands and sponsors realize that, hey, like, look, we're only getting like 1,000 views on this, and like, this is completely pointless for us. You know, we saw it to some extent. We saw it with the International Hot Rod Association in the mid-2000s. For those who don't know, there used to be two major drag racing leagues in North America. So you have the National Hot Rod Association, which is the NHRA, which is, I presume, what a lot of people know. And then you also have the IHRA, which was ARCA, essentially ARCA for drag racing. And there was a point where the IHRA became sponsored by a brand called Torco Race Fuels, which I think they still exist today, just in a limited capacity. But there's a period in the mid-2000s where they were funded by tax fraud. And they were just blowing insane amounts of money, similar to what we see on esports, on sponsoring a Midwestern drag racing series that ran 10 races all year. Like, we're talking insane amounts of money. Like, the IHRA events were bigger than the NHRA for a couple of weeks in either 06 or 07. But because the IHRA, again, just wasn't all that popular, and you're going to tracks in, like, New England, you're going to tracks in Cordova, you're going to tracks in Edmonton, it wasn't actually sustainable. So the moment they got in trouble for tax issues, well, they had nothing to fall back on because, oh, surprise, the series isn't actually that popular. And then it just died overnight. And I worry that's going to happen with sim racing, and it's going to leave a lot of developers suddenly being like, we can't make a racing sim because essentially our funding dried up. It's scary to think about, but... And you know what, maybe it might not come true for 2 or 3 years, and you'd just be like, oh, Austin, you're fucking crazy. There's 1.6 million people watched the F1 esports series in China alone, so we're doing something right. Wait 2 or 3 years to see how this pans out. Then get back to me. Because I guarantee you someone is going to do their due diligence on this stuff because they're bored and they're curious, or it's 3 a.m. one night and they're watching iRacing races to show their buddies. And they click on an iRacing video and see there's 2,000 views and it's pathetic, and their buddy laughs at them and says, why are you funding this? And shit will hit the fan. And you'd be surprised, I don't want to say too much, but you'd be surprised how often those situations happen and what that leads to. So we're going to check qualifying right now. Hugo Matos, who we've been watching, is on the pole the 141.5. Good for him. The top three are pretty tight within a second. Leader is trying to run him down. I think some of these guys got to grab tires, though. Nice looking car. It's a tough prospect. But again, if you instigate it from the ground up so the community naturally supports it, you will always have sponsors being like, holy shit, a lot of people play this game. We got to keep holding tournaments because there's people there and we can sell shit to them. I don't know. I'm pretty passionate about that shit. You know, I'm not trying to look at it as people are pumping in money into the genre now. I'm trying to think about what does this look like in 2025, and I'm scared of what might happen by 2025. The only thing I would have added is how dirty the racing is in esports sim racing. So I did another video on that called The Reality of Competitive Sim Racing. And I didn't really talk about how dirty things are, but I did go into detail about how a lot of the competitions have like minimal damage rules, minimal fuel and tire wear rules, and just like shitty organization that leads to a lot of these races being really rough. I mean, like, it happens. Like, some real races are wreckfests. Like, we get that. Like, you watch your Arca Daytona race, it's a fucking shit show. But, at least in real life, if you wreck a car or two, your owner wants to fucking fire you because you tore up a bunch of shit, right? I mean, I don't want to use Natalie Decker as an example, but, you know, there's a reason Danica's career was only, you know, 6 or 7 years in NASCAR as opposed to 14. Because at some point, if you keep wrecking fucking every other race, even if it's not your fault, the owners are like, fuck you, get out of my car. Dale Jr. is actually pretty notorious about this in NASCAR. He would rather have someone run 10th and not tear up the car than someone who'd win and then wreck and win and then wreck. So there's at least that buffer in real racing. But in fake racing, there's really nothing to stop people from not being dicks. This guy's in the pits. Model's still running? Sure. What did I even run in practice? A 45? I mean, the track wasn't really warm and I was on hard, so whatever. How many people we got in here? 17, 16 with SRS TV. A couple of guys didn't show up. Maybe they fell asleep. It's kind of shitty. Racing in big field's fun, man. Hopefully my voice is okay and the engine volume isn't too loud. It's one thing I worry about once I get going in this shit. And there appear to be other cars who are just not racing. Oh, this dude's turning a lap in. See how Sean Seabrand's doing. He's got a unique livery that I believe he painted. White and purple, goddamn. Pro Sim Racing Trinidad and Tobago. Again, if you guys are bored, you ain't got shit to do, Sean's got his own YouTube channel. He streams these races from his proper sim rig, which is infinitely more expensive than mine. It's got a bunch of overlays. It's more legit looking than this shitty operation. He'll have a nice point of view. He usually runs about mid-pack to top 5. Usually be lots of battles on his stream. Again, this is a track I really don't expect a lot of carnage at, because the Glen is so wide open and a lot of the corners are so high speed. There's really no technical parts of the track. So unless like you get really junked and someone ping-pongs off a wall, which might happen in the S's here, unless you really fuck it up, or there's just a track blocking wreck you can't avoid, these races generally go off pretty well. I mean, we ran F1 here for a bit. Ethan, if you remember a couple seasons ago, and we do F1 race here, and like it was fine. It felt like you were flying a fucking fighter jet because there's no, like, slow corners to break everything up. But one of the easier road courses to learn and race at. Damn, 10 viewers. On our way to full Jason Jacoby at this point. Yeah, thanks for coming out. We're doing the Back to the Front challenge. If you are, I don't know, if you got in late and didn't bother reading the description. Again, I don't want to go try hard and set a ridiculous lap in qualifying and drive by myself. And last week at Road America was really fun when we did this, so I'm just going to try it again. I watched the sponsored BMW 120 Daytona iRacing event there, and the Pure Racing Team car slowed the pack down to let the ex-PRT drivers check out for first and second. That's amazing. I'm just not surprised, though. Guys want their buddies to win. It'd be like that. I had no idea about all that Jacoby stuff, lol. Yeah, like, I mean, it happened a couple of years ago, and it was big in the iRacing forums, and the iRacing forums have kind of like a buffer where, like, certain stuff that happens in them, or certain, like, drama or just weird shit, usually doesn't make it out to, like, other places like Reddit and stuff. People kind of have iRacing forums quarantined off from the rest of the sim racing community. But, like, we obviously know people inside the forums, and it was, like, some of us were subscribed to him because I had him on my Facebook friends list back in the day. And, like, I saw the original, like, NASCAR cockpit video, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? And then I, like, kind of followed it because, you know, some shit's going down there. And then, yeah, it's just, I happen to be part of, like, an iRacing gossip page, which, yeah, those exist. And basically his girlfriend / his baby mama came in and was asking for, like, legitimate help. Because, like, he ran off on her. And I'm like, okay, and yeah, it's all verified, it's all true. I watched his stream once and he told me to roll with Christ. There was a point where, like the day everything happened and the day his girlfriend went public, there was like 40 of us in chat just, like, ripping on the guy. Because, like, are you fucking kidding me? You walked on your kid to fucking sit and stream iRacing? Like, what the fuck? And he banned, like, everybody, to the point where it was like 40 or 50 people were watching, and it was like 5 people, all of which were moderators, just talking with each other. And all the moderators are like 15-year-old kids. It's not Onision tier or Onision, because I've been following that shit, but it was like this weird cult of Jacoby. It's wild, man. I mean, like, to some extent, we've all got our own personal shit going on, like, outside of sim racing. Like, I think you could probably scroll through my Twitter feed and find that out yourself. But to walk out on your kid and have a kid with some teenager that you met working at a pizza joint and then being like, yeah, fuck you, I'm just gonna go stream iRacing and roleplay in my Eric Almirola suit. Like, come on, man. I mean, people could probably make several videos on me. Like, not gonna lie, like, I'm a weird dude, I get that, but there's a line between just having a weird personal life versus, like, you did what to your baby mama for a video game? I don't know, it's rough, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of a black eye on sim racing, because, like, when you tell people about it, it's like, it kind of reinforces all the stereotypes people have about us, and I think we should be doing a lot to combat that, especially in the wake of what happened with all the pro drivers over the weekend, who basically, or not pro drivers, but real drivers, who were basically mocking sim racing. That's why they do that. They see people like Jacoby and they're like, this is ridiculous. Man, I want to get an SRS, but keep finding myself 1 second off the pace of 98 AI. But you know what? That's fine though, because as long as you just don't wreck, you'll just pass people. That's really all it is. Like, these races are less about pace and more about just like making less mistakes than everyone else. So we got, I don't know, half a minute left in queue. I won't be able to read the chat when I'm racing, obviously, but we'll switch to my car here and at least get the view right. A couple guys didn't run. SRS TV is the camera car. This race is being broadcast on the SRS YouTube channel if you want like the TV cam shot. I don't think it gets stomped. Like, a lot of these guys, like, when you see myself and like Ethan and Wander Noso and Oscar Pink and those guys turn laps, you have to realize that we've been like obsessively playing these games since like childhood. So what we run is like not an attainable target for a lot of people. But like usually guys who are somewhat competent at AC and don't wreck can go out and run like 3rd or 4th. I think Jimmy's okay though. Jimmy Broadbent's a good guy. Yeah, Jimmy Broadbent's community is weird because you have 3,500 people watching a streamer, but then like again for AC races, it's like we're lucky to get 16 people, or even you know iRaces. Outside of iRacing events like C Fixed, you know, there's really not a lot of people signing up for some of those races. And if you could distribute his viewer base, because he has, you know, he has some views in the hundreds of videos in the hundreds of thousand views. If you could just have that viewer base split among the various sim racing games, you have a pretty healthy community. But instead, people just want to sit on YouTube and fucking watch personality. So anyway, hard slicks, 99 liters, 56 bias, not 55. Rest of the setup is fixed. Some guys on softs, it's not a good idea. Why is it not a good idea? Because it takes longer to change your tires in the pit than take 1 liter of fuel. It's gonna be a fucking mess. We have to wade through 13 different cars, which is 10 less than last week. Lights are activated. Anyway, lads, think we'll make it through turn 1? I don't. Off we go. Not on the optimal line, which kind of sucks. Guy's playing good D right here. Got a wreck. I'm excited. Ooh, big slide bar up away in front of us. That dude's bias is possibly too far forward. We're up to 8th, by the way. That got interesting. I don't think we got any damage from it, though. Yeah, this bias is too far forward. Only 5 seconds back. It's not bad. There he goes. Into the wall. Clueless. Another wreck up ahead. Maybe we'll be in it. Nope. Yeah, I don't think the arrow got affected by that contact. Perfect. Oh, another yellow. Oh, you know what? If you run wide off that corner, it gives you a yellow. That man sunk into the ground. Come on, my dude, get going. We got places to go. Yep. We're actually catching the leader. Gap was 5 seconds last lap, down to 4.6. Oh. Lost a little bit of ground. Not worried, though. Bad throttle control. Bit of a draft train behind us. Kind of spooky. There's some sort of wreck there. There's the wreck. Guy probably downshifted too quick, blew the motor. Oh! Big problems. I think that's Dom. Pretty good opening stint for us, too. Oh, what a run through the S's we're gonna get. Or not. Come on, Dom, hold on to it. Good boy. Holding steady with the gap, but we got some clean air in front of us now. Let's go a bit faster. There, that's how you take the bus stop. Bad throttle control. Fucking windshield wipers in the way for that corner. Picked up half a second on the guys that lap. Almost dead. Don't touch the curbs. But we can see the leaders, so I'm not too concerned about that. Tires are holding up really well too. The leaders appear to be racing each other, so that's slowing them down. Back to a gap of 4.6. These guys are getting closer. Brawling hard. This is going to be a 4-car battle for the lead right away. These guys are fighting way too hard for this stage in the race, but whatever, you do you. You want a broken-ass car for 45 minutes? You're welcome. Or you're welcome to, I should say. If I can get there, I might dog bomb. We'll see, though. No, not worth it. Next lap, maybe? I don't want to make this guy poop his pants. No. Didn't work. This race is about to get dicey. Four cars battling for the lead. We're still 10 minutes from when people normally pit. The halfway marker. James in front of us flying though. Oh, it's Hugo who's slowing off pace. He's burning up the mediums. That's the issue. Doesn't know the strategy. This can be a mess. I'm just sitting here like, what am I supposed to do? Ego is struggling. Mediums did not last. James gotta get around him. But we're not in fucking touring cars or GT cars, so I don't want to sacrifice a bumper to pushing him. So as we saw at Road America, that fucks up the aero balance and causes crazy understeer, and my bias isn't set for that. Hugo's gonna go in the pits. He has realized that mediums are not worth it. So our pole sitter, I believe, has sacrificed the race due to improper tire strategy, which is very SRS of him. Because the speeds are so fast here, you really can't pass people like you can at other road courses. It's like a giant speedway with right turns. As opposed to like, where were we a few weeks ago? Mugello? Where it's like a mix of corners and it actually relies on throttle control. Big leg. Down to just 12 cars in this race, which is sad. Pretty good 3-car race right now, though. Until James almost dies. James gonna play D because that's the smart thing to do here. Yep, we gonna send it. We're wasting time battling now. But again, when the track is so simple like this, there's really not a lot you can do. Whoa, big checkup. Leader has clean air, which is not good. Too deep that time. Guess I didn't need a downshift there. Car's unloading through the center of the corner there. It's not good. Big checkup. Hello. Down to 11 cars. Pretty crazy, I just passed a dude on the outside there. Alright, let's go hunt down the leader. So the gap is 6.2. I think we can get there pretty quick. So 6.2 to what's the gap now? 5.8. We're making good time. Almost a second a lap faster. Gained 0.8 that lap. Pretty lenient bus stop track limits. Interesting. So 5.0 at the line last time by. 4.0. Just eating this motherfucker. I just fucking suck at the bus stop. Otherwise, I probably could have caught him sooner. 3.6. It's on a good lap that time, too. Shitty. front tire doesn't seem to like when I do that. I'm like drifting out of the bus stop. It's pretty cool. Wow, I'm slacking. Or he's just trying to run wide because he sees that delta. We almost died. Too much curb. Bought him some time. So I lost a whole second there. He's got a pit at some point, though. .6 is a gap last lap. 2.7. Major mistake through there. Locked up the brakes. Cool. So his mistake compensated for my mistake. We do need to pit though, like real quick. I'll go to the grass. Don't mind if I do. We both almost died. It's fun though. So I need one killer lap here. Now we'll see what tires he's on. So if he took sauce, it's race over. Yep, he took softs. Race over. GG. It's not the strategy, my man. Oh god, that's a fucking long pit lane. Alright, lads. That counts as a legal pit stop. And it's wonderful. So he's just crossing the finish line now. So this dude has to fly to keep up with me. I think it'll be a good finish though. .1 second gap, damn. It's probably over. I'm just like not trying at this point. gap was 17.1. He's obviously quicker. 15.6. Like, he's not going to get here. Like, you're gaining 2 seconds a lap, but we don't have that many laps left in the race. We have like 4 or 5 to go. I'm bored. Now his tires look like they've worn out. Softs are like that. Once you overheat them in this game, they just fall apart. Yep, gap went up. Or you know what? He made a mistake. Lose 5 seconds, he must have spun or hit the wall or something. Bad corner. Bad corner. I think we're on 2 to go at this point. Can't drift this car like he could on newer tires. Well, that was really anticlimactic. No boomer spins to wade through. Well, GG. 2 for 2 on back-to-front challenges. Although, again, it was done with a much shorter field than last time, so it's kind of disappointing. Is there a reason you don't have heli course? No, I just use the mirrors. If the other guy picked mediums and didn't screw up, we'd have a fight. Yep. Best chance to stay on hards, but like we know, Austin's just too smooth. Yep. That race was really fun. We weren't even the fastest car on the track, but yeah, that's another enjoyable race. All guys have to do is just run the right pit strategy. Anyway, chat is relatively dead, so just gonna call it a night there. Thanks for coming out. And we will do this next week at the Nürburgring, so that'll be a lot of fun.